sitting out on my porch, staring at my drug dealer's trailer across the street. You know, I bet you if I went and slept with him, I could get more dope.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Starve the Demon, Recovery by Any Means Necessary. I'm your host, Jenna. Today, I'm sitting down with Jessica, and she's here to share her recovery journey, what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like now. Every recovery story looks different, and that's why it's important to hear from real people about what addiction looked like in their lives, what finally changed, and what helped them define recovery. Jessica, thank you for being here and being willing to share your story with us.
Hi, everybody.
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was it like growing up? Was your family addicts or are you the special black sheep?
No, my dad was an alcoholic. My mother was an addict and an alcoholic. My stepmother was also an addict and an alcoholic. Um, I think pretty much all of us kids wound up addicts or alcoholics. There was a long line of addiction.
So that was kind of normal in your family.
Yeah, and my family's Irish on my mom's side and Italian on my dad's side. So, they always said I was going to die with a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a bottle of Chianti in the other. I say I'm going to die with beer and cocaine. But, I changed that.
That's
But
awesome. Yeah, I'm Irish. I drink and fight. I quit drinking. I quit fighting.
isn't that funny how they go hand in hand?
They really do. So
Yeah.
you went to beer and Coke. So you Americanized the Irish and the Italian.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I
I
was the
love it.
cheap date.
Me too. How old were you when you started drinking and using?
So I had a serious trauma at 11, and my parents' answer for dealing with that instead of therapy was cocaine and Bud Light. That was how I was introduced to drugs
They
and
gave it to
alcohol.
you.
Yes,
Wow.
they fed the
I
demon.
kind of get that though, because if that's what they knew, that was
Hmm.
their solution to dealing with trauma and drama and chaos in that weird addict thinking kind of way, they thought they were helping you.
I mean, that's how their parents dealt with it. That's how everybody dealt with it. So, yeah, my stepmom fed me cocaine and my dad fed me beer, and I was off to the races immediately. I loved the feeling. My parents were either beating us or beating each other. It was a great escape, and it was not long before I started selling it. So now it became a moneymaker too.
Okay. It was your coping skill, it was your income.
Mhm.
How old were you when you started selling it?
I like 14.
See, I think that's an important thing for parents to hear because people get it in their heads that people that age, young, early teens, like you don't know. Da, da. Please, I started when I was 11 as well, and by the time I was a teenager, I was doing some heavy duty drugs and not just drinking. Nobody was manipulating me. There was no peer pressure. I was fully aware of what I was doing.
I was the one doing the manipulating.
Exactly. Parents need to know they need to have these conversations with their kids way before they get to that age. If you wait till your kid's a teenager, it might be too late.
Especially in this day and age, the drugs
Yeah,
that are out there today, it's a death sentence. The people who were supposed to be taking care of me were feeding me drugs.
awful.
And then they couldn't
And
understand why I turned out the way I did. That was the part that kills me.
they're shocked and surprised. Did they ever get sober?
No, my dad died with a gun in one hand and a Bud Light in the other, and my stepmom died from HIV from a dirty needle.
I'm so sorry.
They made their bed. It's been years, so I've dealt with it. I mean, my dad's been dead for 16 years, which is
Oh, wow.
hard to
Wow.
think about. He never got to see me get sober. The only time he ever went to an AA meeting is when the judge told him he had to, after he beat the living tar out of my stepmom. And the same went for my stepmom. The only time she ever went to a meeting was when the judge said she had to go.
Yeah, that nudge from the judge. There's that theory that it won't work unless you want it yourself. But I tell you, there's something to being made to keep your ass in that seat long enough to hear what you need to hear. For some people, it never happens. For some people, that's the only way it's going to happen.
So I have a sponsee right now who's about to pick up a year next weekend, and she's on probation for 2 years. She got a nudge from the judge, and I picked her up at 30 days sober, and she was angry and bitter and resentful, and she hated everything about where she was, what she was doing, and how she had to do it. She is so grateful, so kind, so caring, and so loving today. She's exactly the opposite of everything that she was. And part of the reason why is because she works a program of Alcoholics Anonymous and she has found God.
And now she will be able to go and help other women in that same thing that she went through, that are there from the nudge from the judge and they don't want to be there and they don't think it's going to work for them. When did you know it was causing problems in your life?
I thought for a long time that I just sucked and that the drugs and alcohol were my answer to numbing the pain of I suck because. So it took me a very long time to figure out that the drugs and the alcohol were the actual problem, that I had a problem and that it was solvable. We just moved into a new house, and one of the things I found is a diary of mine from when I was 37 and I was still in full-blown addiction. And I read this thing and I'm like, oh my God, I sound like a miserable bitch. And I was miserable because I wouldn't own what the problem was. I sat there and I read it and I talked over and over again how I screwed up again and I did this again and I did that again, but I didn't want to look at what the problem was that was causing it. I didn't want to look at the internal. I just wanted to look at the external. So why am I spending my money? Well, because I'm dumb. Why am I sleeping around? Because I'm a whore. Why am I drinking to excess? Well, because it numbs the pain. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because it's easy. But I keep creating this mess of my life. But I didn't get that it was a real problem until I was in my 40s.
What happened that made you say, I just can't live like this anymore?
I got sober at 43. I had been strung out on fentanyl for about a year and a half at that point. So I was in really bad shape. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't working. I wasn't seeing friends. I was isolating. I lived across the street from my drug dealer. So I had a car. So I would drive for DoorDash long enough to make $150 every day. Pills were $5 a piece. I would spend the entire $150 on pills and then I would smoke them all every day. That was my life. And then one night I got to the point where I had smoked all my pills and I was sitting out on my porch staring at my drug dealer's trailer across the street. And I was like, I bet you if I went and slept with him, I could get more dope. That was the end for me. I had up to that point never sold my ass for drugs or alcohol. So I said, no, I'm done. I had this little hole in the wall, basically dorm room that the government had given me because I had just gotten off the street. I stuck my finger down my throat,
Oh,
threw up everything in my system, and I began to detox that night. It was 12/12 of 2020. I decided in the height of COVID that I was done using. I knew nothing about rehab. I knew nothing about anything. I just knew that I was done. So I spent 14 days alone in my little dorm room detoxing.
wow. That's
That was the
frightening.
end. I came off of fentanyl, meth, cocaine, heroin, alcohol, benzos, and barbiturates all at the same time.
And you never have gone back.
I'm a white chip wonder.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I picked up 2 white key tags my first day back after I got out of bed. So at 14 days. And then I picked up another one at 29 days because my sponsor said that she never wanted to see me pick up another white key tag. Yeah, I have 2 white key tags, the full set, and I have 4 black key tags. But I'm about to pick up 6 years.
I was so proud when I got that black and gold, baby. Yes. And I went back to the NA group that I had went to while I was in rehab, to my very first NA meeting. And there were some people in there that knew me from back then. And I was able to say, listen, if not for this room and this group of people, I would not have this today. So you didn't go to rehab. You didn't go to therapy. You didn't try Matt. You just went straight to NA and quit using.
I went to therapy later. I'm in therapy now. I've been in therapy for a while. I also have a psychiatrist. I went back on medication fairly quickly after I quit all the benzos and barbiturates, but I don't take any benzos or barbiturates anymore. I switched my entire
Well, can
medication
I,
around.
you're not on medically assisted treatment for the drugs. You're on psychiatric mental health medication.
Correct.
Okay. That comes up. I have a sponsee that sees a therapist and she is on meds. People seem to think that if you're in a 12-step program that you're going to be told don't take your meds. And I think that falls under outside issue. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't begin to tell you whether or not you need medication. Find a new sponsor.
I think it's about your grasp on your coping mechanisms and your coping skills as well. I think that has a lot to do with how much pain tolerance you can gather for yourself. Because I know had I had to have surgery at 6 months sober, I probably would have taken pain pills from the doctor.
That's a good point.
I probably wouldn't have told him I was an addict. I probably would have taken every single pain pill he offered me. But I did it 4 years sober. And it was a different story. I had coping mechanisms. I had a sponsor I could call. I had friends who came to see me and make sure I was okay. I had different ways of dealing with the pain than just sitting and wallowing in it.
What do you think has been most important in helping you stay in recovery? Because we all know it's easy to stop. It's hard to stay stopped.
Absolutely. I think really working with others has done a lot for me. Helping others keeps me honest in my program. Helping others keeps me on top of my program. Like I just started my steps all over again because how am I supposed to tell my girls, you have to do this, 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 and this if I'm not doing it too?
What has recovery given you that you never thought you would have?
Well, one thing is a partner that I actually want to spend the rest of my life with. I never thought that I would say that. I took that first year, like they say, and then I realized, you know, the suggestion to stay single for your first year, yes, it's a good idea because you don't know who you are. Well, I wasn't done figuring out who I was. I had to learn how to do a lot of things by myself. So I spent 4 years single and celibate because that's what my recovery needed. On the anniversary of my 4th year, the day I picked up my 4-year coin, I met my partner and we've been together ever since. It's been an amazing ride. It really has. And he is probably one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
Is he in recovery?
Yes. He's not a 12 stepper like we are, but he is sober. He's been sober for 4 years.
If the old Jessica could see the new Jessica, what do you think she would say?
Holy shit. She would not believe it. I was going to die with a bottle in my hand. I was convinced that I was going to die drunk in an alley somewhere. Like, that was the kind of lifestyle I led. The fact that I'm alive is a miracle. I mean, my dad said I wouldn't live past 18. I'm 49 and about to pick up 6 years. So I'm probably the healthiest I've ever been, relatively speaking.
That is amazing. What does your life look like now?
I do a couple different jobs. I work for Lyft as much as possible. And then I also work for a company called Papa Pals. I pick up older patients and I take them like doctor's
Mm,
appointments, them grocery shop
great.
to do outings or whatever it is they need to do. I love that job the most. It's the most rewarding for me. I have a lot of regular clients that ask specifically for me. And then I have had 9 sponsees, so that keeps me pretty busy. And then I go to church on Sunday, and then I go to Bible study on Monday nights.
What is your favorite song about recovery or addiction?
Toby Mac is actually a Christian singer. He has his own Pandora station, but he lost his son at 21 years old. to addiction. So he's got a song
Mm.
about letting and moving on from losing a child that young.
There may be somebody watching this right now who's still using, still struggling, or maybe they've tried to stop before and it hasn't worked. What would you say to that person?
I know that it's the hardest thing to do, and I know that phone weighs 10,000 pounds. But if you could pick it up to call a drug dealer, you can pick it up to call someone in recovery. Just change the phone number.
Excellent advice. But is there anything else that you would like to say to the audience before we go?
It really does work if you put in the work, whether it's NA or AA or the Life Recovery Bible. It doesn't matter what works for you, but do it. Do it until the end because it is life or death.
Yes, it is. Well, Jessica, thank you for sitting down with me and being willing to tell your story. I really appreciate you being open about where you've been and how you got to where you are today. And if Jessica's story helped you, or you know somebody who needs to hear it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos go up. You can also check out starvethedemon.com for more recovery content, resources, and ways to support what we're doing here. Remember, I don't care how you get clean, I care that you get clean. Recovery by any means necessary. Love everybody. Let God sort them out. And keep coming back. I'm going to keep coming back.
Bye, everybody.